Welcome back to E-Trends. Now on today's edition, I'm super excited to have a special guest joining me, the one and only Nick Ndeda, who's an actor, writer, radio host, as well as TV host. So I'm super excited. Thank you so much for joining me, Nick.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm glad to be here, especially given the fact that it's so cold. I'm glad to be warming myself in the house. It's good to be with you.
I'm pretty jealous, but I'm pretty sure our conversation will make me feel a bit warmer. Now, Nick, before we jump into our trending topics, our business entertainment trending topics that we're talking about today, I just want to get to know what you're working on right now. You know, a lot of people are a big fan of your work, so I want to know if you're working on any projects, and just let us know about that.
So currently, a lot of really cool things have been happening. One of the shows that I'm hosting, What's Good Africa, is on TV. It's going pretty well. We're getting ready for the Great Kenyan Bake Off Season 2, which is coming soon. But the biggest thing that I'm working on right now is there's an audio series that is premiering tonight on YouTube. It's called Rona Inakupelekaje. And it's basically, so it's a story, it looks at how Kenyans view the coronavirus pandemic from the time it hit up until right about now where we are. So a couple of months ago, the Ministry of Health, in conjunction with the Kenya Film Commission, asked creatives to come up with, some content around the coronavirus pandemic that they figured could be entertaining as well as informative. So I wrote and directed this one. And it's a 4-part audio series. First one drops tonight. Super excited, a little bit nervous, but mostly excited.
Great, that's amazing. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I hope you'll share some links with me so I can get a chance to actually see what it's all about. Sounds like amazing, amazing work. Great. Now, Nick, let's jump into our conversation for today. I'm super excited for it. Of course, we have to start off by looking at the box office movie Tenet, which has kicked off a $20 million US, nearing 150 million so far. Now, it's a major blockbuster that's debuted in the US after, a pandemic forced theaters to close in March. It was originally slated to show in July, but was postponed multiple times as cases of the virus continued to surge. Now, in the theater so far, which was launched last Thursday, it has approximately brought about almost 11.1 million US dollars in global sales worth of tickets. Now, I just want to get right into the conversation. When coronavirus hit the world, a lot of our economic analysts who are looking into the entertainment or the film industry would say that the Hollywood film industry has taken a tremendous hit, and it would take a lot of time for it to actually get back to where it was. However, by seeing how well the blockbuster movie of Tenet has done so far, is the film industry in general making any leeway, not just in the United States, but in Africa, from your perspective?
From my perspective, I feel like yes, there should be a little bit of concern from Hollywood and even just worldwide when it comes to marketing films, thanks to COVID-19. Because one thing I know for a fact, like a movie like Tenet, is whenever Christopher Nolan makes a film, he uses a huge budget because he knows he can make it back within the first 2-3 weeks of the release of the film. It happened with Inception, it happened with Dunkirk. But the thing with Tenet is, as much as it has brought numbers, given a couple of Hollywood projections, like it's not even close to what they were expecting, such that it might even take 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks for the movie to be able to recover it all, if at all it will. Because I feel like one of the reasons everyone's gone to watch it, okay, 2 reasons actually. One is because Christopher Nolan sells hype. He's very good at that. You watch trailers for his films and the trailers are better than most films that come out. So there's always that hype for, what's Christopher Nolan going to do? And I haven't watched the movie. But I've watched the trailer at least 100 times. I know the movie will be nothing short of it. So a couple of people have said, hey, if we die, we die. Let's go to the theater. Let's watch this movie. Everyone says it's nice. Some people are confused. And then there's this thing about a Christopher Nolan film. You can't get it all in one watch. I think that it's a low-key thing he does as a strategy to make sure that he sells tickets. You will have, when Inception came out, I watched it like 3 times before I finally got it. And I was reading on social media a lot of people saying, I didn't get the movie. It was cool,
I didn't get it.
but I just didn't understand it. I'll have to watch it again next week or something like that. So maybe that's what's going to help with the sales. But in general, I feel like, yeah, it might take a year before movies start making the kind of money that they were making like last year. Wonder Woman was supposed to come out, but now given how Tenet has been performing, I hear that they're like, let's hold on for like another month or two.
I like how you put 100%. There's a lot of money that was put into Tenet, and what we're getting back right now is literally not enough as to what was expected. But it's COVID-19. What else would you expect on that? You mentioned that you've watched the trailer for Tenet. What are your anticipations? What are you looking into with this type of movie? Do you feel like you're not going to understand it again and have to watch it a third time?
I am 100% certain I will not get it by the time I finish watching it the first time. Actually, the first 2 times. I'm not that bright, and also I love watching films, and so I'm pretty sure I will want to watch it again and again. It does. What I'm expecting, though, is cinematically, it'll look amazing. Sound-wise, sonically, because Chris has this thing about sound, and I've always loved that about all his films. So I feel like this is going to be such a great theatrical experience. You won't get the same experience if you watch this movie at home, even if you have a big screen TV with surround sound to this guy bought an entire plane just to blow it up in a movie. Who does that? It's so ridiculous, but it looks amazing. That's the thing. So yeah, looking forward to that.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I think like there's a thing with film enthusiasts
You
that
are frozen.
you're
Or is it me?
Before we had a little bit of a connection problem. You just mentioned some of your anticipations, what you expected for this movie, and I was asking you. I think it's a thing with film enthusiasts. Like some of us don't get it that you literally have to watch a movie 3 times to really understand what has gone into it. So I think us who look at movies just for the sake of looking at movies, we get a different perspective from individuals such as you. Now,
for sure.
we'll just move on to the next question. Looking at how Tenet has performed in China, where it just premiered last Friday, and so far it brought in $8 million US dollars worth of tickets, and actually this past weekend it came to 30 million US dollars. So you can clearly see in China it's doing completely well, only because now China's economy opened up way before than majority of the world. So you can clearly see it's doing well. But this is China. A lot of box movies that are launched in China perform 10 times better. So you can really see how virus is affecting things. I just wanted to get to know what your views are on this particular success China is having, and what does this successful outcome of Tenet say about the cinema and movie business globally, before we look into Kenya?
Well, it's definitely a good sign. I mean, the whole basis behind the movie industry is getting people to go watch the films. And if you can get people to go back to the cinemas and check out these movies, then that's cool. The fact that numbers are dropping in certain countries anyway, the fact that numbers and coronavirus cases are dropping, it gives people a little bit more hope to going back outside. Once we just have like very, very clear mapped out regulations when it comes to like going to a place like the cinema. If it's you have to wear your mask and there'll be sanitizer at the door, I think it's going to be quick because yeah, a lot of people have gone past the phase of cabin fever, and now people just want to go out.
100%,
So when you give them something that I think a movie like Tenet is a really good example of something that everyone's like, okay, I am ready to go outside to catch this.
And And when we come back to Kenya, I feel like I don't know if you agree with me on this, but I feel like also the culture that global spaces, let's say foreign spaces like America or the United Kingdom, there's this culture that people have of actually going to the cinema and watching movies and supporting their own filmmakers in their country. When we come back to Kenya, it's a bit different. Right now, actually, if you don't know, the cinemas are open. I've been seeing some movies are being premiered on billboards outside here in Kenya, in Nairobi. But of course, despite that happening, despite even COVID-19, we still had Kenyans not going to the cinema to watch a lot of films. You'll go to the cinema, you'll find 10 people or 5 people. Unless it's Wakanda, it's a different story. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, so Brenda, I'm going to take you to 2017. 2017, before coronavirus, I did a movie called 18 Hours. Which is a really good movie.
I watched it, by the way. Big fan. Love it. But continue.
That's what's up. Thank you. You did well. Now, when 18 Hours was in the cinema, it was in the cinema for an entire month. And I remember I would pop in every other day just to check out like how it's doing. Maybe, that thing was because I was the lead actor in the movie. I thought it would be nice to surprise people like, yo, you're watching the movie. I'm also here. But most times, the highest number of people in the cinema was like you said, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're talking about a cinema that can host easily 200 people. The fact of the matter is this: Kenyans don't like going to the cinema to watch Kenyan movies. But I'll also say this. Kenyans have lost the culture of going to the cinema. Maybe it's because of being able to stream movies online, DVD culture, all that. Maybe that's the reason, because I have noticed in the last 10 years especially, it's really gone down quite rapidly. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to Kenyan production specifically, people just don't want to go, and I don't know why. It worries me. I don't sleep sometimes. I just think about it. It makes me sad.
I'm just hoping in the future we'll definitely change that, because there's a different, like you mentioned, it's a complete different experience when you go to the cinema and watch a movie than when you watch it in the house or in your bed. It's not the same feeling. Mm-hmm. So I do hope that changes. And if you're making any other productions in your movies, we are definitely, I'm telling you right now, I'll go to the cinema and watch it. Now let's move on to talk about how Disney is handling Black Panther 2. Now, with the unexpected death of movie mogul Chadwick Boseman after a long and secret battle with colon cancer, a lot of questions rose from the Black Panther fans on how Marvel Studios will go about with his character T'Challa. Fans urge Marvel Studios, of course, not to recast the role, but instead to consider the comic book storyline and anoint a new Black Panther from the film's existing cast or elsewhere in the Marvel universe. Before we even get into the questions, I just wanted to get your perspective on this. What do you think they should do? What should Marvel Studios do in this dilemma?
Man, it was so unfortunate what happened with Chadwick. Rest in peace. So I'm kind of conflicted when it comes to this, when it comes to that question, because I'm an avid comic book reader. I used to read a lot of comics growing up, and one thing that in comic books they do, comic book characters never die. Okay, but now when we cross over to the plane of films, there's always the challenge of, do we just replace the actor or do we kill the character? Mm-hmm. I personally feel, because of the fact that the Black Panther movie it's so Chadwick Boseman, everything, he was the steering machine for the whole film.
Yes.
So everyone, such a huge percentage of the world that knows Black Panther, knows Black Panther because of Chadwick Boseman. So now that gives the studio an option of, what do we do for the next one? Personally, if it were up to me, I think I would do it like, I think they did this I think it was a Green Lantern comic book or some DC character. And what they did was, the person who plays, who is the character, dies. So for example, T'Challa dies, mm-hmm. because he's immortal. Mm-hmm. The thing is, he puts on a suit. He's like Bruce Wayne, Yes. They're mortals. They can die. It happens. So I'm thinking if he's dead, then it obviously means that someone else has to take over as Black Panther. Now that becomes an issue of who's it going to be. I saw some guys saying they should make the sister be the new one, and it kind of makes sense because she seemed like the next in line, but maybe there'll be another guy. Personally, what I just hope they do is at the start of the Black Panther 2, it should be like just a memorial of sorts for T'Challa / Chadwick Boseman, and then from there, people are creative. We can spin a story. Maybe Nakia will decide she'll be the Black Panther or something. That's cool.
Okay.
Peter gets more screen time.
I get where you're going with this. I was thinking they could just let Michael B. Jordan, take over, have a little twist, the unexpected.
No,
you don't agree with that?
I'm against it only because of how they wrote his character in the first one. And he said, well, I can't remember his actual words, but what he said was that he would rather not be part of Wakanda because of how Wakanda does their thing. They don't want to merge out into the outside world. So no, he did good in the first one. He was fine. He's fine. Let's not bring him in there.
All right, then. Now, Black Panther was one of the major top-grossing movies in history. It actually brought in a lot of money. And now with the passing of Chadwick Boseman, and you'd mentioned that they based the movie, a character, on Chadwick. Now, with his passing, do you think there's going to be the same outcome in terms of its grossing, or generally just the hype towards it?
Just like you said, Brenda, hype. Hype is what will sell it, because here's the thing. Everyone now wants to know what's going to happen with Black Panther 2. They were reportedly meant to start filming it later this year or early next year, but because of COVID, and then now because of Chadwick's passing, obviously it's going to be delayed. But I am 100% certain that people will be very, very excited about Black Panther 2. I will not be surprised if first 2 weeks it does like insane numbers, like goes up there on the $400-500 million mark, because there will be so much curiosity towards it. In fact, in all honesty, which God forbid happens, even if they write a crappy script and have poor acting and it just sucks, it will still be a huge moneymaker. And it's only because everyone's like, we want to know how this story is going to go now that this key figure in the first one, who we thought was going to be with us for years and years, is no longer there. No. They could even put a white person to be Black Panther and it will still sell. But I hope they don't do that. That's a terrible idea.
I hope so. I hope they don't do that as well. Well, Nick, I want us to take a short break right there. We'll come back to our conversation. Guys, we'll be right back. I'm leaving you guys with Waka Wapi. This time round, we have Why Ray. It's going to be exciting. So have a look at this. We'll be right back.